Welcome to Media Community Action Day. I'm Jonathan Calixto.
I'm Kyrie Moody.
I'm Chris Camella.
And I'm Chanel Thompson.
Today we are joined by local networks from Queens, Brooklyn, and of course the Bronx.
As we talk about the importance of funding local community media.
Throughout the day, we're speaking with local community outlets and elected officials to figure out what's being done to preserve and uphold our local outlets.
And as we say, protect local voices and support community media.
I'm State Senator Kevin Parker. I represent the 21st District in Brooklyn. I'm the chairman of the Energy and Telecommunications Committee, as well as the Majority Whip in the New York State Senate. And today is Community Media Day, right? And we have a bill that I'm sponsoring that actually would create a funding source to make sure that our community media doesn't go anywhere. And so we're going to have a press conference soon. There are lots of people here from the community all over the city of New York who are seeing legislators, having conversations about how important community media is to them. I'm talking to my colleagues, and hopefully this will advance the bill enough, not just to get it out of committee, but to get it through both houses and in front of the governor shortly.
Yes, and for us, the Bronx is so much needed. What have you heard so much about the Bronx and supporting the Bronx with the streaming and the media intake?
Well, again, the Bronx has a very large, community and a very diverse community, right? And there's a lot of programming that's being provided by BronxNet, around, things that are culturally sensitive to communities, things that are in other languages, educational programs, things for children. And so, a lot of what I'm hearing from people who live in the Bronx is just how important this is for their communities.
And what can we look for, hopefully, in the future with supporting our Bronx and how much we need for this to happen?
Yeah, well, again, it's important because, again, without this support, without this legislation, the programming that is so vital for communities, particularly, again, immigrant communities, second language learner communities, that you don't have that programming that speaks to them. And then people get left out. And there's a way for us to, democratize not just media, but our communities, because people who are better informed are better citizens.
Welcome back to Community Media Day of Action here at Albany. I am excited because I am here speaking with Aprecia. Aprecia, tell us a little bit about your title, what you do here specifically in Albany as well.
Sure. I'm the Public Access Coordinator for the City of Albany. We're located at 161 Washington Avenue in the lower level, and it's because of our studio that we're able to create access for community members to be community producers, as well as community mentors, working with high school students and creating community media.
Yeah, now you were telling me as well, you also came from Spanish Harlem, came to Albany as well. Talk to me about making that move, but also staying connected to the local community in that as well.
It was a big move. I came from Spanish Harlem to the city of Albany in 2014. From there, I finished high school here and then went to college at Plattsburgh State University. It was a big transition, but I like to see the opportunities that are here in Albany. It's a bit different. Public access in New York may have 400 to 500 community producers. We have a portion of that. The city of Albany has 100,000 members or constituents that live in one area. New York, of course, is millions and millions of people. So we're trying to make sure that we have that scale when it comes to the quality of our productions. It's if we don't have the quantity of people, we try to complement that with quality.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned as well opportunity, which today in itself is an opportunity for us to advocate for community voices, local, amplify that local kind of focus as well. Talk to me about the importance of us being here today with all these elected officials that are here as well as the game changers. Why should we be here as well?
It's very important that we advocate for these changes as well as the bill that is coming up. So therefore we have more access to public access, more access to what has already been written down due to federal rules. Federal rules back in the 70s, you already know, with public access in the cable companies. Right. We fought for this already, and now it's our turn to fight for it all over again 40 to 50 years later.
Wow. With that as well, Aprecia, talk to me as well. We are here, we are, making a statement about why we should amplify local voices. Talk to me about BronxNet. You obviously are no stranger to us. Why are we important as well for our community members?
BronxNet is important because it can be a model to smaller studios and smaller public access institutions. And there's a lot of great productions on BronxNet. In fact, I use BronxNet when I have my interns from high school to look at other studios. I have them research 5 different studios within the United States, and we use the BronxNet a lot for that.
Just from what you have learned about this bill, why would you say this bill is important, not only to BronxNet, not only to community media, but why the community itself?
Yeah, I mean, I think community media is a vital tool throughout our country, our state, and especially here in the Bronx. And we've seen its impact for decades now, right? We've seen what it does, not just for informing the public, but we've seen what it's done for creating a workforce development pipeline. We've seen what it's done by tapping into such incredible talent that we have here in the Bronx. And sometimes what is, an untappable industry, right? Where a lot of members of the community may not know, how do I get into media, right? How do I get on TV or on streaming? And I think BronxNet has served as that pipeline for a long time. So community media is a huge, huge resource for us.
And you could be honest with us. If we do get the money, what you want to see from BronxNet going forward?
I want to see BronxNet continue to, revitalize and continue to reinvent itself as it's always done so well. I would love to see, BronxNet led by folks like yourself from the community. It's always been youth-led. It's always been such a collaborative experience, and I think that's what's made BronxNet so amazing. And so we get this investment going, and I want to see more of that. I want to see more investment into the people in our borough, but also just bringing that community media into what is media in the 21st century, right? It's not the traditional TV as we know it in print media. It is being on social media. It is being on the YouTubes, the Instagrams, the X, and making sure people from across the borough and across the city are being informed through whatever lens they take their media.
And last question, you yourself as a young man, you're like, what, 28?
29.
29, but
Yeah.
you was installed as assembly member around 26, right?
Yeah.
And just tell me, what was your inspiration to get back to the community, give back and get involved with the community?
Well, yeah, to that point, I mean, being elected at 26, my biggest inspiration was to get more young people, specifically in the Bronx, more involved civically, whether that is through politics, whether it is engaging just, with the local government agencies from school level all the way up to whatever state agency impacts their life. I wanted people to understand that we have a voice that is very powerful that can impact not just your neighborhood, but your entire state. And I think, having someone that is below 30 years old is helpful because I'm hoping that my reach impacts others like me, others who didn't grow up very politically engaged, others who didn't even really know how to vote prior to high school. So hopefully, given that information, we inspire a generation who continues to inspire more generations to follow that path.
We are here with the executive director of our own organization, BronxNet, Michael Max Nabe. Thank you so much for being here with us. We just want to know, in your own words, what is happening here today?
So the dream is real. We are here in our state capital of Albany advocating for community media. BronxNet's the public service multimedia network of the people of the Bronx with experiential learning for youth, workforce training for the public. It's about opportunity. It's about vital local programming that speaks to our communities because it's by, for, and about our communities. We provide access to technology and services for our public so that our public can engage in positive transformation. It's digital literacy and more. And we are here today with our colleagues from across New York State, advocating for community media, letting people know that we've got to protect and enhance this vital resource for the 21st century media landscape. It's digital literacy, workforce training, experiential learning, youth opportunity, a spotlight on the arts and culture and local business, voter literacy, health, education, and more, as well as news and analysis. You, Chris, a graduate of Stony Brook University on Strong Island, are a part of BronxNet, and we have an amazing, passionate team of people that are telling the stories of our community. We have amazing producers, independent media makers that take media education workshops at BronxNet and get certifications so that they can use our resources, our state-of-the-art production studios and production stages, so that they can use our learning labs and innovation labs and more to connect communities from the Bronx to the world on BronxNet. And cities and towns have community media centers all over, but we're in an era of media consolidation. There's great disruptions, and we're losing that local voice, right? So local newspapers are shuttering, and we've got to reverse this, right? So essentially, these places that are community media spaces, this is where citizen journalism happens. And we've got a bill right now in the New York State Assembly and the New York State Senate called the Community Media Reinvestment Act, A5900A in the Assembly and S2581A in the Senate. And it's very important because it makes sure that New York is in the digital age when it comes to the media landscape. where we have opportunities, where we have revenue for the state, revenue for the municipalities like New York City and the Bronx, and revenue for community media centers, these public service networks like BronxNet, all across the state, in places where there is no community media and in rural communities that don't have broadband infrastructure. Well, this revenue can go to building that much needed cellular and broadband infrastructure. So this speaks entirely to the whole state, access to technology and making sure that we are doing community building through media together.
Certainly. And when this bill does get passed, what kind of reinvestment and renaissance can we see BronxNet start going through? Any particular changes you're excited about?
So BronxNet, as the multimedia platform for the people of the Bronx, we essentially have studio locations, very advanced production technologies from the north to the east to the south to the west in the Bronx, in the borough of 1.5 million people, 1.4 to 1.5 million. This includes our network operations at Lehman College, BronxNet at Lehman College, where we've been serving the public for 3 decades, 30 years, providing the youth training for thousands, providing the workforce training for thousands, and producing all this vital content. You'll see our studios are populated by citizens that are engaged in community. It's civic awareness. That's the heart of public access. And then our East Bronx site, BronxNet at Mercy University. You're welcome to come. East Bronx residents, hey, we've built studios for you. And the South Bronx, where you've got great tech inequities, BronxNet has built the BronxNet Media and Technology Studios in the South Bronx with immersive media studios, extended reality production stages, innovation labs, learning labs, and more. Right now, we have technologists at BronxNet. We have artists, innovators that are doing media arts education for youth and the public and producing original content from the Bronx to the world via BronxNet, including our Creatives Rebuild New York artists who are doing work across disciplines. This is community building. This is big. You know, it's an open work, and these are your channels. So leverage your channels no matter where you are in this great state of New York. Know that you've got resources, but we need you to step up and support the Community Media Reinvestment Act. Go to bronxnet.org/community action, and you can send a message of support for community media and the services of BronxNet and places like BronxNet to all of your elected leaders, elected representatives, key leaders, decision makers that are going to, hey, make a determination to make sure that there's local commitment, to make sure there's local jobs, to make sure that there's local programming by, for, and about our people.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Max Nabe, he's our executive director for a reason. Thank you very much for your time.
Chris, thank you for participating in community media, and I just want to also thank our bill sponsors. Senator Kevin S. Parker on the Senate side is the sponsor of the Community Media Reinvestment Act from Brooklyn, and from the Bronx, a champion for the Bronx, the chair of the Education Committee to the Assembly, Assemblyman Michael Benedetto, and all of our co-sponsors who are signing on to the bill. We're building broad consensus here. You see the community media centers represented here in the legislative office building in our state capitol, where the public policy is formed. We are here in our capital. And this is it, this is the time. Step up, be a part of community media. Be a part of making sure we preserve and protect. I see so many great faces. We have people who are leaders in the industry now who are making sure that we are protecting our citizens, walking by these corridors right now that participated in BronxNet, including Josiel Estrella, who is a student at BronxNet, and now she's here doing important public service work. I am so proud of our BronxNet alumni and our BronxNet independent media makers and everybody that's part of the BronxNet staff and team. Chris, thank you for what you do.
Thank you very much, Michael. And don't you go anywhere. We have a lot more content coming today from Albany's Community Media Day of Action. Stick around.
So we are here at Media Communication Day here at Albany, and I have the pleasure of speaking with David Hinchin. David, how are you feeling to be here today?
It's great. It's a lot of positive energy here today.
Yeah.
And it's great to see organizations like yours represented. You do really great work.
Definitely important work. And of course, the work you do is also important, highlighting the local community here in Albany as well, right? Talk to me about the paintings that we are seeing here.
Yeah, I live here in Albany. I've lived here about 20 years. And Albany is not only New York State capital, but it's also, for a small city, extremely monumental. And we have a pretty amazing architectural legacy. So I painted buildings my whole life, but since I moved to Albany, I paint a lot of Albany scenes. I'm also on the board of Historic Albany Foundation, so we have a couple big fundraising art shows every year. So that's how I got involved in the organization, and I met a lot of great artists. There's a lot of artists that appreciate the landscape here in the Hudson Valley and paint it.
Yeah, so of course, with that, advocating and highlighting the local community, you understand the importance of that focus. Obviously, today, BronxNet as well, we are here to, support that local voice as well. Talk to me about the importance of supporting local voices and amplifying them as well.
Yeah, it's a tough time for independent media and the arts. Money is hard to raise, and there's a lot of competition for it. So. Here in Albany, we're blessed to have an amazing public radio station, WAMC, and a public television station, WMHT, that both really specialize in highlighting the local arts. And then what you guys do in the Bronx and Greater Metro New York is a huge resource to bring the artists and the various voices in the community to the general public.
Yeah, and I hope, obviously, with that as well, as the elected officials are passing by, hopefully they can take that in. Obviously, elected officials that are passing by today, what would you tell them about stopping by our booth, saying hi to us, speaking with us to learn more about local media and its importance?
Yeah, it's important for them to be aware, because if there are legislators from the Hudson Valley or upstate, they may not be aware of you guys. I wasn't aware of you guys, but I'm really impressed with how wide your net is as far as various voices in the community and also different types of art organizations. And it's great to see who you're featuring here today, be it music or art or community activism.
Yeah, with that, David, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. Tell us where we can find out more about your work as well.
Yeah, you can go to my website, davidhinchin.com, and there's a gallery of my work. There's also a link to my gallery here in Albany, which showcases my various works. Yeah, check it out.
Definitely.
Love to see you guys.
I'm George Alvarez. I proudly represent District 78 in the Assembly, and I'm proud to support Assembly Bill A59, which is a community media reinvestment, and I'm happy to support that. That's what's happening today here.
What is it about local community television that is so important to you?
Well, absolutely. Look, the Bronx is my home, right? And BronxNet is one of the organizations that make the Bronx so great. So I think that everybody should be happy to support that.
We're in a day and age right now where cable is getting cuts. More people are moving to streaming services, and it seems as though local community television is struggling to keep itself up at times. What can more people do to become aware of these outlets such as BronxNet?
Well, look, BronxNet has been at the forefront of the urban renewal in the Bronx and has evolved into a growing multi-site, multimedia platform. And I think that supporting that is just telling the people that that's the way to go.
Ultimately, what should our audience know about this bill and what's happening today?
Well, I think that our audience should know that reinvestment in our community media platform is the way to go. And I invite everybody to join BronxNet at the Bronx in celebrating the 30th anniversary and in celebrating the importance of the public television broadcasting.
The pleasure of speaking with Noah George, who is no stranger to the BronxNet family. Noah, tell us a little bit about how you are connected to BronxNet.
Sure. In 1997, I was in high school, and from the high school, they recommended, if anybody wanted to be involved with media. So they recommended this program at BronxNet, which was in walking distance of the school. I went to DeWitt Clinton High School. So I would walk over from DeWitt Clinton High School to Lehman College, and they taught us media. At 15 years old, I didn't really realize, the power that was being, offered to a 15-year-old. And I had the great fortune of getting introduced to, visual media, camera. Not only it didn't stop there, we did editing, we did master control. We were shown all the different avenues of producing the show and to get the story out. And I have had the opportunity to have great mentors like Michael Nabi, JJ Gonzalez.
Yeah, that's incredible to
Yeah.
have all those mentors and years later now be sitting with us here in Albany for a very special day, an important day, where we are advocating for local voices as well. Talk to me about the importance of this bill that we are here for and what does it mean to our community?
Sure, 100%. So, the First Amendment right clearly talks about free press. And so we don't realize how important freedom of speech is. A lot of times, we as Americans, we say, I can say what I want, think what I want. Imagine a world where you can't do that anymore. Then you'll have the contrast. And in order for you to understand that, you would have to go to a country that doesn't allow you to do that. Imagine North Korea, where everything is state-sponsored. They give you the script, and you talk about it based on what they tell you to do. And if you go off script, they're shooting you to death. So at a young age, at some point in your life, someone gives you an opportunity to exercise that in a massive way using mass media. It's very important because, a regular person can't afford a studio, some of these microphones, or even a camera worth thousands of dollars, or the equipment, or how to use it. So it's important because these are soft skills and hard skills we can pass on to people that normally would be marginalized from this industry. What if you don't go to college? What if you can't afford to go to college? What if you're not allowed to go to college? Going back to my own, upbringing, my entire life I was kind of like on a path to either being an engineer or a doctor or some kind of back then IT wasn't a thing.
Okay.
In fact, I was one of the first people that put up the BronxNet websites.
Wow.
Outside of Michael Nabi, I was the first one that handled BronxNet website. So I would upload pictures and data and refresh it and use, programs like Adobe PageMail, Illustrator, Photoshop at that age to be able to do these things.
Yeah.
But why? I wouldn't be given that opportunity at CBS or NBC. They wouldn't even let me in through the door. But BronxNet.
Yeah, and I think even with what you're saying too about that part of how it's inspired you as well, and the importance of it, even having those mentors back in the day as well, and how it's inspired you now. Talk to me a little bit about that inspiration now in Rockland County, what you're trying to start with community media as well.
Absolutely. I've had mentors like JJ Gonzalez, who would sit down with us. He was the first Hispanic reporter on CBS nationwide, and he would tell us his personal experiences. We would sit down a book that he wrote, A Gull Against the Wind, things like that. So coming to the point, without digressing, how did it inspire me? It made me conquer my fears of doing things that I would normally do. It made me achieve things or want to try things that I would try to do. As a businessman, that is exactly the training that you would need to take risks and to move on to be successful.
Can you tell us about today and the Community Media Day of Action, and what does that mean for you?
Well, for me, I'm first of all so proud to see our community organizations represented here, standing up for our community, not only in terms of representing our stories every day, but also making it so that we have meaningful investment to make sure that community networks like BronxNet are continuing to tell the stories of Bronxites.
What do you think can happen with this bill being passed?
Well, we live in a changing world, and we know that technology has changed every single part of our world. Cable is no different. How people receive and consume entertainment is no different. I think this bill does a really important thing in that it recognizes that we're in a different place, and we need our laws to reflect that, and we need our community investments to reflect that, and we need to be investing meaningfully in community media. So this bill passing would make it so that the health and vibrance of these really critical institutions is guaranteed for a long time to come, and I'm really proud to support it for that reason.
Love that. Now, you're familiar with BronxNet, and we've covered plenty of stories. What does BronxNet mean for you, and how do you feel about us always covering your stories and making it meaningful?
Yeah, I think for me, BronxNet is the Bronx. BronxNet uplifts the voices of our communities. It shares resources, but most importantly, it's central to the culture of the Bronx, and that is representing the diversity, the beauty, the grit, the resilience, the strength of our community, and it's why BronxNet is special to me.
And when it comes to local voices, how do you think people should be heard, or people who don't have a voice to probably speak about certain things that happens in the Bronx community?
Well, I think that's why BronxNet is so important, because it empowers everyone to find their voice and to use it. You hear it in the stories of students who start out as interns and move through their careers, building a career starting there. But you also see it in community members who now have a platform to have a show, to share the issues or perspectives that they, have in their daily lives, and are able to build community. And that's, I think, probably one of the most special things about BronxNet is that it's really a tool to keep building and uplifting community.
And last question is, what can we look forward in the near future with you and taking care of the Bronx, or looking forward to any of the local residents as well with getting their voices heard?
We're continuing to make sure that the perspectives and views of Bronxites are represented. We want to make sure that we're leaning into opening pathways to economic prosperity and opportunity for our residents in the district. But most importantly, we want to make sure that people in our district get to stay there and build their lives and families. So we're focusing on housing and making sure that affordability and having protections as tenants is at the core of everything that we do.
Let's just talk about what is happening here today.
Well, it's one of the things about being a professor of media. I'm basically teaching film scoring. Is you don't sort of want to be existing in a vacuum. You want to have a place to put your work out in front of people. That's just a natural thing. So we did a project with BronxNet, where my audio club that I'm the faculty advisor, we challenged another college in the Bronx to a beat battle. 3 teams of 2 people for them, 3 of ours. And we could do that right in the classroom, or we do, but to have it produced and directed by a really professional organization was just fantastic, and the results are absolutely amazing. So it gives my students a feeling that they're just not working here. They're putting stuff out there.
They're expanding themselves.
Yeah, they're putting material, and that's kind of the way the entertainment business works now, apparently, is you want to always be putting content out. And unless you have somebody who has a television signal going out into the community, it's very hard to do.
Definitely. And it seems like we're in a time right now where cable television is dominating, and yet at the same time, people are cutting off their subscription services. Why do you think it's important for community television to still remain upheld today?
Oh, it's a total necessity, because even though there are so many different stations to watch, none of them are an organic part of a community. And I graduated from Lehman College in 1994, and now I've been teaching there for 11 years. So it's a very important community to me. And as I said, if the community has things they want to put out into the vapor, BronxNet is kind of the only game in town. So I'm a huge supporter of it, and I really believe there's plenty of money in the cables and all this to be able to sell media, that taking a little slice off of that and helping community organizations like BronxNet is not only good, it's a necessity.
I want to ask one more question. You just mentioned money as a possibility for reasons why we can still protect our communities. What else can we do to still keep our local stations in balance?
I think the main thing is to respond to whatever the community is. Like BronxNet, as you know, is literally 150 feet from my classroom where I'm teaching film scoring. But there's also a huge community where our students come from. Most of them come fairly locally. So the more outreach a college can do with the augmentation of an organization like BronxNet, that's money in the bank to me.
What I have one more question.
Sure.
And I was actually alive before. What is the outcome that you are hoping to see today?
I want to see collaborations between academic institutions of which I am a member and media, BronxNet, the community, and my main goal as an academic, I want to teach people how to go out into the world and make a living in music, which is what I've been able to do for 50 years. And it's never no guarantee it's going to work out, but I want to try to give them every possible skill, and collaborating with BronxNet has been a part of that, big part of that.
You are access producer on BronxNet. Tell me about a little bit about your journey.
Well, thank you guys for allowing me to be on and support Community Media Action Day or Day of Action. I'm so happy to finally be here because I didn't make it to the last one. But my journey started in public access in 2016 and right here at BronxNet. So about 6 years, I'm still a baby because you have to take away 2 years for COVID. So yeah, I'm a 6-year-old baby in public access and got my start right here at BronxNet.
And just tell me, how has BronxNet progressed you as a person in life and as a producer?
BronxNet has progressed me in a way the last 6 years where I keep learning. It's been a home that I've been able to technically advance my content. You know, when I first started in 2016, I had a show, great content, but my audio sucked. So I had to learn, you know, as I got better, you know, different ways to increase my production value. So then I started doing another show, then COVID hit us, and then I got a chance to sit back and evaluate because I was one of those producers that was protesting against Zoom and StreamYard. I didn't want to do it. I was ready to get back in the studio. So when we got that opportunity, soon as we got that opportunity, I got an opportunity to go to Africa because people saw me filming as a camera operator through BronxNet, working on other people's shows. So I got a chance to go to Africa, and then since I've been back, that was my motivation to be like, okay, where's the camera? You know, because I'm like, if I could go to Africa for 10 days because people saw me on BronxNet, okay, what's next? No. So it's progressed. It's really helped me as a community voice more than I could have ever imagined.
Well, I need to stick around BronxNet.
Come on now.
You get in Africa. But just tell me, first of all, what is your show name and what is it about?
So this current show is called The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray, because currently I'm going through the next chapter of my life, and next chapters are always happening. But right now I'm going through life as a empty nester. I'm going through menopause. I'm 50. I'm dating as a Christian and a minister. How's that? So I use my show as my own pulpit to testify about how God influences my life and how having the Holy Spirit is how I do everything and anything. And while I'm venting on the next chapter, then all of the Bronx gets to vent with me and share what they're going through in these next chapters.
Wow. And just tell me, why is this bill so important to fight for today?
I'm going to tell you why. Because last year, my show won the Free Speech Award. And that's important because it allows, you don't want to just hear commercials about learn, inspire, and be a part of change. So to be a part of change and see it, to see community action, to see people stop me. Literally, every week, I get people from the community that says, I seen you on TV, I seen you on TV, I seen you. So they're affected by what they see me doing. And that keeps me encouraged. So this bill is important so that we can continue to have these voices. And people be sleeping on public access. I mean, I don't know how about y'all, but I remember watching Video Music Box on public access television. And then what we just did, Kanye's movie, they just won last year a Grammy or an Oscar, whatever they have, and they started out doing public access. Like, public access is a start for a window, a door of opportunities. And if we don't continue this and we don't be involved, then the little things that they do give us, we can't complain about stuff not being given to us if we're not actively involved in keeping and maintaining them.
Wow.
We gotta be about it.
That was great. Thank you so much, Miss
Thank
Kitty.
you.
I'm so glad I got a chance
He
to
stole my
interview you.
job, so. But he's a great reporter,
Well,
isn't
no,
he?
I need to steal yours. You're going to Africa.
Well, you know why I was okay with him stealing my reporter's job at BronxNet? Because he's a youth. And that's another reason why this bill is so important, because the next generation has to keep it going. I've done my part. So if I've done my part and I'm going to the next level, what is there for journalists, young journalists like yourself? So we have to keep it going so we can have young voices make a change. I love waking up in the middle of the night and watching you on TV.